Yeah, well, I'm so happy to be able to have this with you and co-create this amazing experience. It's great.
Yes, yes, it's so fun getting to chat about the elementals and Gaia, two of my favorite hobbies to talk
Oh,
about. And I know you love that as well.
yes. Yeah, so I mean, first, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself and then we can dive right into it.
Yes, so my name is George Lizos. I'm a spiritual teacher and intuitive, and I work primarily with light workers like woo-woo people, witches, shamans, spiritual people who want to find and follow their life purpose. I work specifically with the elementals as well because I believe that all the answers we seek are in nature. And when we really connect with nature, all the tools we need to overcome the obstacles that are preventing us from following our life purpose become available to us. So with nature as our ally, we have nothing to fear when it comes to finding our purpose and taking all the action steps needed in order to follow them. I believe that light workers gotta work. That being a light worker doesn't mean just nurturing our light and just being in meditation all day long and just affirming our light. It's all about doing that, connecting, receiving the guidance, and then taking the action steps in order to create change in the world.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, yeah, I'm so excited to have you on here. And yeah, let's talk about the elementals. So, I mean, for someone who has no idea what the elementals are,
Yeah.
getting into it, essentially it's the entire extension or emanation of the Earth Kingdom. So every, thing from fairies to like mermaids to like all of that, it's all just extensions of Gaia, manifested in many, many different forms. Okay, trees, tree spirits, sprites. There's a whole bunch of things. So yeah, and it's beautiful to be able to connect with that and to be able to see that as a reflection. And I know anyone who's ever getting a little too frustrated working or just in their own crap, they get so caught up, and then as soon as you go outside, nice half hour in nature, it's just it just melts away.
It all disappears. And let's just give like an introduction to people watching now who may have no idea about what the elementals are. So generally, as Will said, the elementals are the spirit and consciousness of Gaia, of Mother Earth, of nature. And there are essentially for some people 5 types of elementals. The 5th one is like a little bit advanced, but we'll get into it a little bit. So we have the water elementals, which manifest as the water undines, as the water sprites, and as the mermaids, who are the spirits and consciousness of the world's lakes, oceans, and the seas. Then we have the earth elementals, which are the gnomes and the giants and the leprechauns and the flower fairies and all these little tricksters that we find out in the woods. And then we have the air elementals, who are primarily the sylphs. And in my experience with working with people and teaching about the elementals is that people don't really like that much the air elementals. And this is very ironic because they are the ones that we have closest contact with. Every time we breathe,
Yep.
we're breathing in sylph energy. So we are the closest to the air elementals. Then we have the fire elementals, who are my personal favorite because I'm a Leo as well.
Nice.
Which are the dragons, and they are the salamanders, and it's the motivating, fiery energy of fire. And also, we've covered the 4 basic ones. The last one is the spirit elemental, the ether elemental, who sometimes they manifest as unicorns or other spirits as well. And what they really do, they form a bridge between the physical elements to source, to God, to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just like a brief introduction about what the elementals are and what they do.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I think it's really important for everybody to get a firm understanding on the basics before we get right into it. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm an Aries, so I definitely feel the fire energy. Sure.
Fire.
But I also really appreciate, working with the fairies specifically, going out in nature and just really grounding and really, soaking in and yeah, just absorbing the beauty that
Will, just looking at your pictures on Instagram, I'm just instantly transported into those beautiful woodlands in Toronto. It's Toronto, right?
Toronto
You're
area,
from. Yeah, those beautiful woodlands, and I can feel the earth elementals, like, and because the earth elementals are the most playful of all the elementals. The fairies and the flower fairies and the tree dryads. God, I love the tree dryads, and I feel you have a close connection to them as well, because I see you hiking the trees.
Yes, for sure.
So they have this very fun energy, because I feel, Will, that they are here to remind us that even though we may grow up and we may get older, our soul never really grows up. So whenever I connect with the fairies, with the earth elementals, that's the main message that comes through. Play some more, go out. And it's funny, because they are connected, they help us improve our finances and our materiality and our health, which are such serious issues, but they bring in the playfulness as if to tell us that's the way to approach those kind of issues in order to attract the abundance and the health in our lives.
Totally. Yeah. Every time I've ever connected with the earth elementals, it's always bringing me back into that. Just let the inner child come out, let the inner child flow, and tap into that again. Because that's what nature is. That's, if you go out in nature, it's all just like nature in itself, in its very essence, is the inner child. It is just that pure innocence of source emanated here in this physical experience that we're experiencing. Oh, it is
Exactly.
so beautiful.
And what I love especially about the elementals in general is that they are purely connected to source, as you just said, but they also have an ego. They also have a physicality to them, because yes, nature is connected to source in a pure way, but there is a physical aspect to it as well, like the trees, the flowers. So whenever there is some kind of physicality, there's some kind of an ego as well. Not the same kind of ego that we have. But that's why I love the elementals, because they have an ego, they can understand us better, and we can understand them better, and we can communicate, and they can communicate better with us and us to them in a much more easy way. For example, with the angels, the angel vibration is really high. So for us to communicate with the angels, we need to do a lot of work to raise our own vibration. The angels, they can only lower their vibration to a certain degree, and communication happens. With the elementals, their vibration is even lower. They have the ability to go high if they want to, but they have the ability to keep their vibration lower, so they can get us from that hurt state, from that depressed state, from that very human state being that we are, and take us up to source. So I feel, and I don't know, you tell me if you feel that as well, but I communicate easier with the elementals than I communicate with angels, because of that proximity they have to our real life.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I feel like anybody who has ever connected with anything non-physical, it's always elementals first. It's always, because that's where we are. That's what we're here for. You know, we're here on planet Earth. This is just an extension of that. So just to be able to connect with our environment is the first step in being able to connect with anything above that. Yeah, no, 100%.
Yes. 100%, and that's because many people communicate with with aliens, with like beings outside of this planet, and that's perfectly fine in my book. However, personally, I don't feel drawn to connect to beings and spirits outside of the planet, because I feel there's so much wisdom here. Like, I need like a few lifetimes to learn all the wisdom from the beings on Gaia, on Mother Earth, from all the elementals, before I'm ready to move on to to other planets, for example. Or on the other hand, I'm like thinking, why search for wisdom outside of our planet when we have so much wisdom already here available to us?
Totally. Yeah, and there is this, it's almost this need to escape what is here right now, because of that. Whereas when you go out in nature, you're connecting with the all that is. You are connecting with the higher and the lower, and it's all of the above. But it's really important to get back into what is here right now, as opposed to, it's great, it is great to do that. And I mean, like, we can talk for hours and hours and hours about higher experiences of angels and extraterrestrials and all of that, because all the time, that's just who I am. But there is something really, really special, because for me, at least, I believe that anybody can connect with anything. It's all a matter of whatever vibrational frequency that you're on at the time. But like any physical person, whether you're in this whole spiritual mojo or not, you can go out in nature and connect with nature, and it's there. Okay, whether you're acknowledging like the entirety of nature, or whether you're just looking at a tree, or you're just looking at flowers, or you're just having some fresh berries, it doesn't matter. It's just that presence. That's what matters. Being able to connect.
Exactly, and it's so easy to connect with them. So I want to give people like a quick technique, the technique that I use actually to communicate with nature, just to show people how easy it is to receive inspiration from nature. And I've actually, just like a few hours ago, I released an IGTV video that people can go watch on my profile, which is at George Lizos, all about connecting with the mermaid realm and my personal technique to doing that. But let me share a little bit right now. So basically, whatever interaction we have with the natural world, we feel an emotion as a result of that. So for example, if we go out in the woods and we just walk through the woods, we get maybe an emotion of playfulness, or an emotion of calmness, or an emotion, some kind of an inspiration. We may get thoughts, we may get certain emotions. Now, those emotions are not really emotions. What they are, they're affects. Now, an affect is a co-creation between our own energy and the energy of what we're experiencing. So it's a co-creation between the elemental of the earth and our own personal energy field. So that creates an emotion within us that's really an affect. And it's called an affect because it affects us in some significant way. Now, that emotion, therefore, affect that we feel, that is the message from the elementals to us. Now, people may wonder, what about the flower fairies? Why are we seeing the fairy dust flying all around, and why aren't we seeing the brownies and the elves running all around? Aren't they supposed to come in and just tell us something? Not really. So all these physical portrayals we've given to fairies and mermaids and dragons, they're just that. They're physical portrayals. Because we're humans, because we like labels, because we're so focused in our own egos and in our own structures and in our own compartments, we are more comfortable putting spirit into different compartments as well, and labeling spirit in different ways, and giving it characteristics and forms and descriptions to make it easier for us to work with. And spirit will work with us in whichever way it works for us, because it just wants to communicate with us.
Exactly.
So if the spirit of the watcher of the sea, for example, wants to communicate a message, and we want to see it as a beautiful, voluptuous woman with a fish tail, it's going to show itself that way, because that's the easiest way for it to communicate a message to us. So the easiest way to get any message from nature is just go out, have an experience with that aspect of nature, and feel all the emotions coming through, and all the thoughts coming through, and all the inspiration, knowing that that emotion is the actual message from the elemental.
Totally.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that exercise. Yeah, so one of my audience members asked a question before, talking specifically about fairies and our experiences with fairies. So I wanted to hear your experience, and then I can share some of my experiences, but specifically with fairies, and what are fairies, and what are some personal experiences working with fairies?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question, because many people confuse the term fairy with fae and with the elementals. Some people think of the two terms interchangeably, as if they mean the same thing, like the elementals are the fairies. And the reason there is this ambiguity about this subject is because the Fae, F-A-E, symbolizes and includes all kinds of elementals, not just the flower fairies, as we think like the Tinkerbell ones, but all forms like dragons, mermaids, sylphs, all forms of elementals. That's Fae. Now, fairies exist in all the elements. There are earth fairies, there are water fairies, there are air fairies, there are fire fairies, and there are spirit fairies. The fairies that I feel that audience member is asking about are the traditional kind of fairies that we know from Tinkerbell and from Disney, which are the flower fairies, which again, so the flower fairies exist solely in the spirit of earth, and they are the spirits and consciousness of the flowers. Now, they are some of my favorite types of elementals, because flower fairies, they have, in my experience with them, has been a very hard opening experience. Whatever I had to work on expressing my emotions, whenever I found myself at a time in my life where I wasn't able to express my emotions freely, and I was being in denial, or I was suppressing, or I was hurting, or I was building walls around my heart, flower fairies, and specifically the rose flower fairies, would just come in and sprinkle some fairy dust around my heart, melt all the walls I had built there, and allow an emotional healing to take place. Now, this is, I feel, that has been my experience, and you're going to tell me about it as well. That has been my experience with flower fairies, in that in general their collective purpose is to help heal emotions, is to help heal issues of the heart, as well as our physical bodies, as that relates to ailments created via emotional dysfunctions, for example. Now, every single flower, and therefore the fairy of every single flower, has the ability to impart on us a different message and a different kind of healing, depending on a different kind, based on a different kind of emotion. Let's say, for example, depression, it may be lilies. For me, balance is ilang ilang, the flowers. For example, roses have to do with romantic emotions. And that's how I work with fairies. Of course, we can talk about hours about all kinds of fairies from the different realms as well. But I feel this is what most people have in mind when they think about the fairies, the flower fairies.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And connecting with flower energy specifically is so powerful. Essential oils too, bring that out. The Bach flower remedies, I don't know if you ever work with those. Those are beautiful.
I have them. I work with them as well.
Yeah, no, they're so powerful. And rose is actually one of the highest vibrational essential oils too. So it is amazing for just total cleansing. Nice rose bath to soak that in. It's beautiful. Yeah, no. So 100%.
What has been your experience, Will? I'm curious about with flower fairies.
Yeah, so that is actually one of the I guess not the first one. The first type of fairy that I connected with were the earth fairies, and just being out in nature, earth and water fairies, because I was by this creek as well, and I was just sitting by myself meditating, and it was actually kind of getting dark, and light was going down, and all of a sudden I was just surrounded by all these different sparkles, right? And I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting and magical. I've never experienced anything like this. And I was just surrounded by literally this blanket of sparkles. And I was like, I wasn't on anything. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then afterwards I just really I started seeing little images as they were coming around me, and they were little fairies, and some of them were flower fairies, some of them were earth fairies, and others were water fairies. So, and you can the difference really for me in that moment was they were all working on different things. They're hustlers. I really like how the fairies hustle. Because they have this playfulness about it, which is how I hustle. It's playing.
Yeah.
It's playing with all that we're supposed to do, and that's alignment. And yeah, so they really taught me that. So at that time, I was just experiencing little tingles up here, specifically in my throat and my heart area. And that was like the brightest. It was kind of like this white and glittery. Like it literally looked like as if there was just glitter floating through the air. And then when I was and then I felt at my feet, which is where I first that's what I first noticed, actually, because I saw the sparkles, but I thought it was just all around. But I saw at my feet there was these little fairies, and they were like anchoring and planting my feet in the ground. And then that's when I had sandals on, and they told me to take my sandals off. So I just put my feet on the ground and started connecting with the earth. And it was just an incredible experience of feeling literally like the heartbeat of the earth through that. And they facilitated that connection, which was beautiful. And of course, and this is like one thing that I want to reiterate as well too, is that while yes, like everything is an extension of us, as we were saying before too, yeah, they have their own personalities, their own identity. So ego in the sense is not what we believe it to be as a negative thing or as a bad thing or as
No, it's
something
not.
that is,
Definitely.
separate. It's just essentially one perspective of consciousness. And it's that singularity identity which is necessary for all of creation to be perceiving through this one perspective.
Exactly.
And that's what we're here to do. And that's why we are all living this human experience. And that's why the fairies are living the fairy experience. And that's why everything is living its own experience, because to have that singular point of view, you're actually the eyes for the entire universe. And it's all being connected, and it's beautiful. So beautiful.
Yes. And I believe that the reason the fairies and the elementals are coming in so strongly right now is because they want us to elevate our perception and our understanding of what the ego is. Because for many years in spirituality, the ego has been bashed on significantly.
Right.
People have been hating on the ego, how to stop your ego, how to obliterate your ego. You can't obliterate your ego because this is ego, this is ego. Every single piece of consciousness, physical piece of consciousness in this universe is ego. It's just a matter of, are we using our ego as a tool, as a tool to teach a message of love, or are we allowing the ego to control us instead? So we have an ego and we have a soul. The question is, who's controlling who? Is it the ego controlling the soul or the other way around? And when we use our ego as a tool to teach a message of love, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what the elementals are here helping us to do, because they are experts at doing that.
Exactly.
Each elemental in its different category, in its different realm of influence and sphere of influence. But Will, something else you mentioned that about your story that I found very interesting is that you mentioned flower fairies and earth fairies and their earth fairies. And what I've found with elementals in general is that yes, we have like separate earth elementals and air elementals and fire and water, but in truth there are many blended elementals as well, which could be part of what you saw, what you've seen, in the sense that, for example, water has contact with the air, with the atmosphere, so that intersection creates a different kind of elemental that's a blend of the two spheres. And therefore, it brings forth a unique kind of energy that we can't get from just air or from just water. So, for example, a kelpie is half earth and half water. It's basically a horse with a tail. So it brings forth the healing emotional qualities of water and relationships with the more practical qualities of living on planet Earth. So, for example, someone could work with a kelpie to heal financial issues or practical material issues that are interfering with their romantic relationship. So do you see the connection? Yes. That's what I find fascinating about the blended elementals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, everything is just feeling the intention, right? Feeling what is happening. How is the interaction between me and the rest of the experience? What's going on right now? And that's just all a matter of coming back
Exactly.
into
And
presence
what's coming
and
up?
coming back into awareness of everything that's going on right now, which is literally what Mother Earth and what all the elementals and what every realm of consciousness is wanting us to do, is to just get back into presence, just get back into awareness of recognizing that we are everything. And it's beautiful when we're able to
Yeah.
get into that state of mind.
Yeah, and really getting us to work, getting us to hustle in a playful way. I like that the way you phrase that, you're hustling in a playful way, because that's the only way to hustle and not kill ourselves.
Exactly.
In a way, because the elementals are naturally balanced between their masculine and feminine energy. In other words, the sun is providing the fuel, masculine, and the earth is providing the seeds, feminine. So they always work in alignment with each other. It's us that either abusing masculine energy or abusing feminine energy by either overworking ourselves and exhausting ourselves, as this patriarchal world has taught us to do for so many decades and thousands of years, versus procrastinating too much, meditating without falling through on the action, on the intuition that flows through, and just procrastinating following our life purpose. So I feel the elemental's highest purpose is to, as you said, help us come into our presence, which is perfectly balanced between our masculine and our feminine energy, and essentially inspires us to take all that beautiful, good intuition and guidance that's flowing through and translate it into something physical. Like, for example, this chat that we're having right now, it's something physical. It's not us just meditating and chatting telepathically to each other. We're having a physical conversation.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And, that's why one thing about social media is so great is that we're able to apply that and share and connect that with other people too, which I've loved so much. Instagram being able to capture memories and moments that, I would just look at on my phone screen, just going through that. Whereas now I can share that with other people. And also intention and energy, like being able to share intentions, even channel messages and things like that. As opposed to me just journaling, or me just meditating all day on it. Now, there's someone out there who might, receive a lot of value from what I have to say or what you have to say or what anybody has to say. And now we have this amazing physical platform that we have created. Well, maybe physical, maybe virtual, that allow us to share these beautiful things, these beautiful experiences.
And it is so easy to abuse it in a way of, like, from when we allow our ego to control our soul and therefore use social media in a negative way. And that's when the elementals come in to school us a little bit and to remind us to use it as a force for good, like boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. And, that I always find that anytime that I'm feeling misaligned in any way, or I'm feeling as though I'm not using my ego as a tool that it's supposed to be, and instead I'm letting myself be a little overrun by that, or just exhausted by it, which can happen as well. I'm not grounded, not connected with the earth. And as soon as I get back into that, and as soon as I make that, oh yeah, I'm here right now. I'm not up there. Okay, I was just, meditating for, doing huge, expansive meditations for that long. But there is such this sacredness. And, I love that the indigenous people, all of time, despite what has happened, this connection to the earth and realizing that this is how we connect to source. Okay, this is how we truly connect to source in a grounded and anchored way. Because if you're, connecting with higher realms, that's great. And a lot of people can, especially in the spiritual communities, people are very open and intuitive, and it's fantastic and it's amazing. And you can do a lot of amazing work through that. But what I'm seeing and what just makes me like, ugh, is when people are neglecting what's here right now, and they're getting too focused on the woo woo up there when we're here right now. Okay, we would be in spirit form if we were just meant to be up there. Okay, we're the connector.
Exactly.
Earth and heaven.
Exactly. The elementals are here to remind us exactly that we are in this physical world right now for a reason. If we were meant to be just love and light, we simply wouldn't have been born into this physical world.
Exactly.
We were sent into this physical world to work with all the tools that we have, not to abuse them, not to allow them to use us, but to use them as tools and as opportunities to ascend our planet, to ascend our own souls, and to create this heaven on earth that we've been promised as spirit for so long. It's our time to work our light, not just nurture it.
Yeah, or talk about
which
it.
Is yeah. And don't you feel as well that like in past years, spirituality has been all about the ascended masters and just the higher
All
frequency
these
spirits.
titles, labels, just crap,
Yeah.
garbage,
Yeah.
bullshit, like entirely.
And
that
now,
just creates,
and
what
now
that does,
the
though,
elementals are coming in.
is it just creates this further
Sorry, yeah.
separation. You know, it doesn't bring us into a state of unity. And that's the thing. Like, one of my purposes, there's many purposes, I believe that anybody has many
Yeah.
purposes, but one of them is just to cringe and destroy the word spirituality. You know, like just this concept that spirituality is something separate than the all that is ridiculous. That I'm more spiritual than you, or I'm this spiritual, like, even when people put the word spiritual in their freaking Instagram bios, I'm like, guys, like, come on, okay? We're here to just embody. That's it. That's literally it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what the elementals are here to remind us every single day.
Totally. And that's just Mother Earth. It's just like, she knows, and she's just letting us do our thing. You know, we can live and believe whatever stories we want to believe, whatever concepts, whatever labels we can, you know, buy into anything. But she's still here doing her thing, and she's just waiting for us to come home.
Yeah. One quote that because my first degree was in geography, so which is basically studying the elementals from a scientific perspective.
Yeah.
But what my geography teacher always used to tell me is that it's not about saving planet Earth, it's about saving the human race. Because the planet Earth has been here forever. It's been here for millions of years, and it's got processes to keep finding its balance. It's got atmospheric processes and ocean processes and volcanic processes and earthquakes and hurricanes to ensure that whatever the distractions it endures, it comes back to its balance.
Totally.
Now, in the process of finding that balance, it won't hesitate to kick us out of the game. If we misuse our powers and if we create so much distraction that it doesn't have any other choice other than to kick us out of the game. However, the reason the elementals are coming in so strongly right now on planet Earth is because they want to remind us that it needn't be this way, that they're inviting us to partner with them, to partner with Mother Earth, so we can work together as a perfect team to create heaven on earth, to live, to coexist together peacefully. They're here to remind us that you don't need to abuse us anymore, and you don't just need to respect. It's not just about respecting us, it's about communicating with us. It's about realizing that us, Mother Earth, the elementals, we are alive. We're not just these inanimate things that you play with. We have a soul, we have spirit, we have a personality, we have consciousness, and we just want to be friends. And we just want to talk and co-create and just create stuff together. We just want to be part of the group because for so long we've excluded them from creation. We've excluded the elementals and Mother Earth from humanity. And we've distanced ourselves from it, and we try to take it and appropriate it and just change it in some way. So the elementals are really here to help us survive.
Yeah.
They're here to tell us,
seriously,
you guys, you're committing suicide. Don't do this.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's figure this out. And I think Leila is saying thoughts about dinosaurs. Well, the dinosaurs, it's a perfect example of how the Earth needed to find balance, and she kicked them out for some reason. We don't know why.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing too, is we're here in this new cycle right now. It is the new cycle. We are beginning a new transitory period. And this is where, you know, the spiritual community specifically got a little out of hand, in the sense that that's great, you know, the ascension process and us evolving and us really coming into this new golden age, because it is, and it's beautiful, but that doesn't mean we can just like wish that into being. Like, it means that we're here to do the work, and we have to create that into being, because that's what we're here to do. That's what we are. We are creator beings. We are here to create. We are not here to just meditate the day away. We are here to be here now, present in the moment, while creating. That's what we're all here to do, in whatever way feels good to us, the ego and the soul, on an individual level. And however that's expressed is the exact way that's supposed to happen.
Yes, and I really want to share some like tools that people can use to work their light, to do as the elementals want us to do. And a powerful way that I use to get to work, and they're just giving me, I'm going to share a technique that I use in there, but they're giving me something new right now that I feel I have to share, is connecting with the giants. Now, the giants, they are the spirits and consciousness of mountains. So they're here to remind us that whatever goes on in our lives, whatever goes on in the world, it's gonna be good in the end. It's all gonna be well, in a sense, because take a look at mountains. They've experienced so much, like countries get destroyed, civilizations change, earthquakes happen, but the mountains are standing there affirming that all eventually is well. So the giants, the spirits of the mountains, are here to remind us of the same. So an easy way to get to work, or an easy way to calm our nerves down when we are abusing our masculine energy, therefore by overworking ourselves, is to go out in nature, out in a mountain, and place one hand, our receiving hand, on the mountain, on the ground, and then our giving hand on our heart. And what this will do, it will allow all the stress to recycle down into the mountain, and then the mountain giants will instill into our hearts this reassurance that all is well, that instantly will calm us down, will take away all the nervousness and the anxiety that we're feeling, and allow us to get to work without abusing our masculine energy. So this is just a technique they've given me. I've been practicing that as well, but they've just did a little change on it that I feel it's very powerful when it comes to, as a practical way to working with the elementals in working our light and creating something powerful in the world. Another technique that I use is with flower fairies and essential oils. So a beautiful way to inspire any physical project we're doing. Let's say, for example, someone is writing a book and they want some inspiration about how to write more fluently, or how to bring in some more inspiration and some fairy magic into that book. Mm-hmm. An easy way would be to intuitively go with a flower and an essential oil that they feel matches the energy of the book they're writing. And what I usually do, I just take that essential oil. Firstly, I hold it close to my heart and I ask for the oversoul of that flower, which is the collective soul of that flower, to flow through the blend and empower it with its essence. And I visualize and I see the fairy, the elemental, the oversoul from that flower flying out from the fields and flowing into the blend. So I know it's energized. Then, dropping 3 drops of that essential oil in my palms, rubbing my hands together, and then ceremonially smelling my hands 3 times, and therefore infusing my body and my energy with the power and the vibration of that essential oil. And it's done like, yeah, exactly.
And got some ylang right here now. Oh,
perfect. So what that does, it instantly instills your body with the vibration of that flower. And when you go to the drawing board, when you go to write that book, because that energy is part of you, physically and emotionally and vibrationally, then your writing is already infused with that energy. I feel there are so many techniques, we can talk for hours.
Totally.
But I feel these are the two most popular ones that I found work with me as well.
Beautiful. And that's funny because a couple of days ago for my affirmation challenge, which is an email challenge, one of the affirmations of the day was "All is well in my world," which comes from Louise Hay.
Louise Hay.
Bless her soul.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most impactful affirmations I've ever experienced. The most simplest affirmation ever. All is well in my world.
All is well.
And it's so true. And, it honestly is so true. And that goes beyond anything. It doesn't matter how shitty of a day you're having. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. Everything can be brought back to all is well.
Yeah. And there's a similar one by Abraham Hicks that they say that nothing ever really goes wrong. Like ever. Like ever.
It's so true.
Which is the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Abraham also has this other one, and it's what is no longer matters. And everything that you're seeing and experiencing right now, it really doesn't matter. All is well. Everything's okay. It doesn't matter, how much is going on in your world or how crazy contrast is. It no longer matters because everything that we're experiencing, we have created up until this point based on our vibration. We're present to the moment and recognize that all is well. We're adjusting that. We're creating our world literally as we speak.
And I feel the Earth Giants channel that message very well in the sense that whatever's going on, however shitty our day may be, however depressed we be at this point in time, eventually all will be well. Eventually, all that negative emotion, because whenever we're feeling any negative emotion, we always have the opportunity to shift it into something more positive. So what the elementals are here to teach us is to pivot in that way, is to realize that our emotions are fluid and they are not our destiny in some way, they're not our fate. They are just ephemeral emotions that we can learn, just like the wind causes the leaves of the tree to like sway from side to side, that we can sway as well and just let that go. It's so interesting how many messages we can get from nature when we just notice, observe, like a perfect technique that I like to use to communicate with the elementals. And it's so easy. Just stand outside of the window and just observe nature. See how it works and try to mimic that. See how the trees, when the wind blows, for example, they just bend. They don't just freak out. Oh my God, it's windy. Just adjust to it. I mean, it's a powerful lesson, and yet it's so simplistic. And we have access to it simply by staring and observing for a little bit.
Yeah, and that, you learn so much by observing anything, but when you're out in nature, you almost get out of this, human construction, which we have created so much separation as a result of, and we get back into just the flow of everything kind of untouched. That's why going out and, really great nature spots that are untouched, or, driving a little ways out of the city to go to like really pure nature is so beautiful, because there is just this divinity that is present right there, and it's such a beautiful reflection and a reminder to us of who we are, what we're here to do, and what actually is going on. Nature doesn't hurry, and yet it gets everything done.
Exactly. Nature doesn't worry either.
No, nature doesn't worry, or nature doesn't hurry.
It just knows that all will happen at the perfect time. So we can really learn from that, and don't freak out when things don't work out in our lives, just realizing that there is a better path for it, in a sense. For example, when there's a volcanic eruption, it initially seems like a negative thing, but at the same time that a volcanic eruption happens on planet Earth, there is some destruction of Earth that happens on the other side of the Earth, with the earthquake, with the two plates of the Earth just being sunk into the lava, and therefore it melts that creates the pressure, that creates the volcano on the other side of the earth. My point of giving you this geography right now is to communicate the idea that something that may seem so violent and so bad, like a volcanic eruption or an earthquake, for example, really creates beauty, because all that lava will and all that ash in the atmosphere will create eventually the fuel and the seeds and the right soil for new land to be created, for new plants to be created, for new life to be created. And that's the same with our lives as well. When something goes wrong in our lives, when something initially seems so negative, for example, if somebody close to us passes away, or we get ill, there is a higher lesson behind that, and simply being willing to acknowledge the fact that there may be a higher lesson about that, behind that, that instantly brings onto us a sense of calm and a sense of connectedness with the universe and a sense of acceptance.
Totally. Yeah, no, there is, it's sometimes it can be really difficult when we're in the moment of experiencing contrast or adversity, or really what we don't want right now.
Yeah.
See the divinity in it, to see the beauty in it, and to really tap into the source that is that. But the moment that we get out of the mental mind and the monkey mind chatter, and we just get into awareness and observation of just seeing, okay, this is just happening. I'm the one that's attaching an emotion to this. Does nature do that? No.
No.
It just works around. It just adapts. And that's what we're here to do. We are one of the most adaptable species on the planet. We can adapt like crazy. And that's exactly because that's what nature does. And that's what nature is. It's always going into balance. It's always balanced, because that's its nature. It really is.
And that's why she's calling us home. She's calling her children home and reminding us that we're supposed to be like that as well. She's reminding us that we already are that. It's just a matter of us remembering that we are that, remembering that we're balanced, remembering that we're worth being abundant, that we're worth having fulfilling relationships, that we're worth being healthy, that this is our natural state of being, that we're worth being motivated and following our dreams and just living not just mediocre lives, but really fulfilling lives. That's what nature and the elementals, Gaia, they're here to remind us, not to teach us, because we already know it. We already know it. It's just a matter.
This is our nature. This is our true nature. Yeah. Beyond the conditioning, beyond what we have created for ourselves based on our past experiences, we get into the source, when we get into like who we actually are. That's
exactly.
it.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that amazing and incredible wisdom. I know everybody got a crap ton of value out of that. And guys, it always comes down to us just recognizing that we have everything that we have always ever needed or searched for. It's all here. And it all comes down to embodiment and recognizing 100%. That all is well when we do get into that state of embodiment, and that state of, because embodiment to me is just observation, and just getting into a state of recognizing that I am the all and just observe as I'm supposed to.
Beautiful way to end. Thank you so much for inviting me, Will. And I want to invite everyone to come over to George Lizos, my profile, and go click in my IGTV to watch my latest video, which is all about connecting with the mermaid elemental. So if you've enjoyed this chat, you're going to get a little bit more depth into connecting with the mermaid realm specifically.
Beautiful. Yes, make sure you go and follow George, and I mean on the replay you can definitely click on his profile or off my story as well.
Thank you so much, Will.
Guys, thank you. Thanks for hanging out, and thank you to the elementals, and hopefully everyone can go now and connect with nature and get back into source. Love and blessings. Love and blessings.
Thank you, Will.
Take care.